Hi, everybody. Hope you are good, having a lovely day, whatever you've already done, or maybe you just got up. Who knows? We have got a nice little slow, kind of twisty flow today. It's not going to be super energetic. I mean, we try not to be super energetic anyway, because these are about restoring after all the exercise you've been doing. But yeah, a little bit focused on our backs, our lower backs, and our hips, and just kind of staying pretty close to our mats, to be honest with you. We're not going to do a lot of standing up and coming away from them. You will want, well, ideally, if you have a strap or like a belt for a dressing gown, or to be honest, anything, a towel even can help you out. If you don't have any of those, don't worry, there are definitely variations and alternatives you can do, so do not worry in the slightest. But if you have one of these or something similar, do grab it now. And yeah, welcome. Do grab some water, pop your playlist on, get yourself comfy. If you need more layers, as I said, we're not going to be like super powerful today, so you might want to have a jumper on or something nearby to put on if you do get a little chilly, depending on the weather where you are. But yeah, let's get into it. We will start in a forward fold today. So coming onto your mats, that is assuming you've got a mat. You could just be on a carpet, something a little bit softer than hard floor, because that might be a little bit uncomfortable. Keep your strap nearby. We're just going to send our feet to about hip distance and a bit more. So if you're on a mat, about mat width apart, so not completely close together. And I said, we're going to start in this fold today. So when you are ready, lifting your fingertips up tall, take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just sending your hands forward in between or towards the middle of your feet. So it doesn't matter if they don't make it the whole way there, if you're kind of up near your knees or your shins, that is fine. We're just sending our hands towards the center of that gap between our toes. And to be honest, we're not going to hold super heavy right now. We're not going to be super active and draw ourselves down and really, really, really stretch into it. We're just going to take a moment here for our first few deep breaths. Closing your eyes. And whilst we're in this fold, as I said, we're not too active. We're just starting to pay a little bit more attention to how we're doing, a bit of a check-in. Noticing if this already maybe is starting to ping a few of those sweet spots that you might need to stretch into. And you might kind of automatically just feel yourself curling a little bit further forwards. Maybe your fingertips start to move forwards. That is fine for now. We're not going to worry too much at this point in time about our backs being super long. We're just taking a few deep breaths. And really all we're focusing on is having the space to take those deep breaths. So if we are really, really curled over and hunched over, it might feel a little bit more difficult to take a deep breath in. So just give yourself the space to breathe down to the lower part of your tummy. And as you breathe out, maybe it's just that bit of releasing. Maybe your shoulders roll away from your ears slightly. Just taking one more deep breath here. And we're going to slowly roll ourselves back up to where we just were. Give yourself a little sway. Sometimes those forward folds, particularly to start with, can be a little bit interesting on our lower backs. So now we're going to grab this strap. I'm going to unroll mine first. And today I'm actually going to loop it around my feet whilst they're still in this kind of wider position. So your strap may not meet, that's fine. You can just hold on to either end. And we're just going to gently, using this strap, kind of bring ourselves closer towards our toes. So now we're adding that bit more activity into this fold. And rather than hunching over or letting our upper body kind of curl, from here we're staying lifted. So using this strap or belt or towel to draw ourselves further down, but to really find that stretch through this part of our lower back. So we're not just hunching over and getting that stretch across our shoulder blades, but actually using a bit more length in our backs and a bit of stretch as well through the backs of our legs. If you've got tight hamstrings, this one, you may start to feel it. We're not having too much pressure really on this strap. So we're not like, it's not a strength session. We are just gently using it as a bit of a connection, a bit of a help and assist to draw ourselves further in If you wish, you can hold onto your feet directly if you've got the space, if you've got the length through your back and your arms and your legs. But yeah, maintaining this space in front of our chest, we've got the length down our back. And then slowly lifting yourself back up. Keep that strap just around your left leg for now. So if we're going to bring our right leg more towards the midline of your mat or just more kind of directly in front of you, and then using your straps, just start to lift your left foot up. You might want to adjust that strap slightly. You might even, if you do have a full yoga strap, you might want to kind of loop it around your foot. We're not going to have it there for too long, if I'm honest. You don't have to do that. But if it makes you feel more comfortable when you're holding it and it's not slipping away, go for it. We're going to bend our knee to start with. Hold on to this strap or towel, whatever you have. If you don't have anything, you can just hold onto your shin. Starting with a bit of a bend in your knee, we're going to start to press our heel away from us. So our leg's getting straighter and straighter. And as it's getting straighter, we're lifting our toes up using this strap. Again, you can hold on directly to your foot if that works for you. If that is too much, do ease off. You can also bring your leg slightly further down. What we don't want to be doing is kind of bringing ourselves in and then doing this and just holding ourselves as close as possible. Thinking about this stretch really going through the back of our legs. And if you keep pressing your heel away from you, particularly through your calf and the backs of our knees, we are going to feel it, I promise you. So lifting tall through the crown of your head rather than letting yourself kind of fold in. Remember, it's not a strength session. We are using quite a lot of strength in our arms, but it's not about hugging ourselves super close. It's about feeling where we're stretching into. You may want to have two hands, you may want to have one hand. It's totally up to you on where you are holding onto this strap or your toes or your ankle or your calf. Taking 2 more deep breaths. And we are going to hold things for a little bit longer today. Not too long, but just kind of sinking into a few stretches a little bit more. Okay, coming back hold of your strap if you've got your hands on it. We're going to hold the strap or your leg with your right arm, left fingertips going around to our backs, and just starting to twist. So with this leg still lifted, turning around, taking your gaze over your left shoulder. Maybe you lift your fingertips up and sort of reach your hand away. You can stay here or you can have that support on the ground, just turning and aiding that twist. It's a little bit more of a gentle twist because we've got our leg up. It's kind of meaning we're not completely forcing it. Take a deep breath, just see if you can go slightly further as you breathe out. You might start to get a bit of a tingle down through this left leg. And often as well, I'm already actually starting to kind of lean straight over to this right side, keeping our seat bones down on the ground as we twist. So we're not just completely turning onto the other side of our bodies and not really using this space. Gently coming back, turning your upper body back round, bending your left knee. You can take this strap or belt away. I'm just going to pop it to the side. We'll come back to it in a second. Now here is where we're going to be a bit interesting. We're going to see if we can cradle our leg in our arms. So a bit like you'd hold a baby, like this, kind of rocking, stereotypically anyway. Maybe you don't want to rock a baby like that. Who knows? Bringing the sole of your foot kind of onto your right forearm. So you can see here, my arm is just kind of resting underneath. My foot really is resting on top of my arm. And then I'm going to see if I can bring my fingertips together. My elbow is towards the top of my leg, around my knee or my thigh. And from here, you might need to shuffle, shimmy your foot kind of more towards that crease of your elbow. And then you've got this ability to actually rock your legs. So it's almost like you're taking the weight of your leg out from underneath you and putting it into your arms. And if we've got this space, we can kind of start to just roll with it. So maybe it's just rolling, rocking side to side. Maybe you start to lean forwards. And you might just feel those sweet spots. I get this, particularly through the outside of my hip, especially when I kind of lean slightly more over to the side as if I'm going to turn to face the other way. So have a bit of a play. See where you go to. You might just want to hold steady. That's fine too. Do as you wish, as always. It's your chance to listen to your body, learn something new. And from here, we're going to let go of this cradle. Our little baby left leg is ready to flee. Bringing your foot down on the other side of your right thigh, wrapping your right arm around your thigh now. So squeezing your knee, your thigh closer up towards your chest. Left fingertips coming back to behind us. We're pressing our hand or our fingers into the mat as we turn again towards the other end. So we're really trying to lift up tall. So again, rather than just kind of crunching down and doing this, Seeing if we can add a little bit more space, height, up through our backs, and then into this twist, turning yourself around. Again, you may want to walk your hand slightly further. Maybe you've got the space, maybe that is uncomfy. Come back, ease off. Deep breath in. Slow exhale out. One more of those, deep breath. Gently bringing yourself back to face forwards. Left toes now come up and inside our right leg. So your foot resting on the inside of your thigh. Doesn't matter if your knee is kind of halfway lifted. If you have a cushion or a block, you can pop that underneath your left knee. And we're going to lean and fold our way forwards to this right ankle now. So breathing in, arms lift, go tall. Exhale, fingertips over towards our toes. Again, you might want to use a strap here. I'm just reaching towards my toes, and you can also just hold onto your shin or your ankle. So you don't have to use a strap every single time. It can absolutely help us. If it makes your stretch feel better for you, then go for it. Breathing into this stretch and really trying to use that extra bit of space into our lower backs. Closing your eyes. Softening a little bit through our arms. Even if we've got hold of those straps, our toes, our shins, not kind of being super strong there, just gently easing ourselves forwards. It's a guide. It's not about dragging ourselves towards our toes. We're not doing that. We're not here for that today. Moving into a bit more of a side stretch. We're going to keep our right arm where it is. Lift your left arm up. Turning to the side, find that space across our chests. Looking up towards those left fingertips as well. So we can really use where we're looking to aid our rotation. Still almost leaning your body further forwards than up and to the side though. If you wish, you can start to wiggle your fingers all the way forwards, nearer towards your toes. You might want to hold onto your foot. If that causes you to turn completely back around and face your knee, that's not the aim of the game right now. We're trying to find this lift and space down through the sides of us towards our hips, through our waist, maybe over the top even of your ribs. So thinking about that length through our sides rather than having to be forward at our toes right now. Gently turning your chest back down to face your knee and then lifting yourself all the way back up. You might just want a bit of a shake out. Sometimes those stretches can just be a little bit funky. Okay. From here into a half saddle, so getting a little bit deeper into our hips, lifting up through your left knee. We're going to take our left knee and place it forwards. Your ankle is now going to be just to the outside of your hips. Now, this may be super comfy for some people. It may be completely uncomfy for others. Please do adjust. If you need to wiggle your foot further away from you, if you need to take it a little bit further forwards, if it stays super close, that is fine. All of the above options are cool with me. And then leaning yourself back. Again, we have options. We can stay just here on our hands. This might be enough of a lean. We can move onto our forearms, or you may want to shimmy your way down onto your mat. Shoulders back on the ground. We're staying here for a few deep breaths, and we should feel a big juicy stretch through the fronts of our hips into those hip flexors. So going to wherever you can and breathing to that place, really bringing our focus into our stretches today. Breathing deep to our tummies. When our focus starts to drift, gently draw yourself back to those slow, long, deep breaths in, and even slower breaths back out. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of use these deep breaths, particularly in this posture. It kind of reminds me to soften and to stop holding on to tension elsewhere. So my glutes are kind of relaxing, my shoulders, everything starts to just chill out when I take that extra slow, deep breath. And if you start to want a little bit more from where you are, if you're lying down, you can bend your right knee. Take your hands just in front of your shin or your knee and draw your leg up closer towards you. It's going to intensify or deepen really this stretch in the front of our left hip. You do not have to come all the way here if this is not for you right now. I know generally as runners, our hips are super, super tight. So do what you wish. Do not worry about going to this full range. We can stay wherever works for us. One more deep breath. We're all making our way back up, coming back forwards to seated, and then into a 90-90. So start to send this left leg out towards the side, and then bringing your right leg forward. If you've done a pigeon before, your right shin is going to be kind of in that same position as you would be coming into a pigeon on the right side, but we're not going to extend this left leg back. So our legs are both at 90 degrees, just at different angles from us. I mean, that doesn't quite make sense, but you know what I mean. It's a 90-90 for a reason. Breathing in, arms go up, lifting tall. Breathing out, reaching forwards. We're sending our fingertips down, folding over top of our right leg. And again, this might be funky on your hips. You might start to feel it into your back, into your glutes. We're going to have a little play in this position in a second, and we will actually come back to this stretch on the other side. Gently making your way back up, rolling yourselves back up to seated, and keeping our legs here for a moment, staying lifted through our chest. We're going to just start to make a little bit of mobility through our hips and actually our ankles. So beginning to lift up, so our knees come up and our feet are on the ground, and then we're shuffling over to the other side. So almost like we're just repeating the other way. We're not going to fold through this side, but do squeeze those glutes slightly, turn your chest, notice that stretch. Might be a little bit crampy, like me, through this right side of our hips, and come all the way back. See if you can do it with our fingertips lifted, reaching out. We're just slowly kind of shuffling our weight side to side. If you're like me, you're going to end up coming off your mat. That's fine. Do not worry. Shuffle your way back. Come back to one side, and then just keep going side to side. Doesn't have to be super slow. Also does not have to be super fast. So just go with that controlled motion. We're aiming, it might feel a little bit funky, a little bit sticky, but we're aiming to use that space and get into it. And actually that movement is going to help us get there. I know it looks really weird. Might feel a bit weird as well. That's okay. Okay, we are coming towards the end of this side, and we're going to repeat what we've just done on the other side. So we're going to end up with our right leg forwards, right knee, sorry, forwards, kind of that starting 90-90 position we had. Bringing your left leg all the way round and send it in front of you. Right leg comes in. Grab those straps again. So we're starting out left leg kind of in the middle of our mats. Strap around our foot or our ankle, holding onto your strap, beginning with our bent knees, and then pressing your leg away from you. So we've got that tingly feeling, that big stretch down through the back of our legs. Again, you can hold on to your foot with your hands. You can just hold on to your calf here. But we're not kind of hugging and hunching ourselves in. As much as possible, we have lift and length through to the tops of our heads. You might already notice from here that you've got one side that has more space or less space than the other. Go with that. Listen to your body. Notice those little differences. You can work on them. Shoulders softening. Into your twist. Your left hand is going to stay with this leg. Right hand comes behind you, fingertips on the ground. Again, we've still got this height up to the tops of our heads, turning our gaze back behind us. Maybe you've got that kind of full anchor down behind you, palm on the mat, twisting, or maybe your fingertips are just gently aiding your twist. Slowly letting yourself come back to the front. We will let go of this strap. You might use it again, you may not, so just keep it somewhere where you can grab it if needed. Back to this cradle. So our right foot is coming towards the middle of our arm at the front, kind of through that inside of our elbow. Our right arm is wrapping around our knee or our thigh, and our fingertips are drawing closer towards each other. Doesn't matter if they don't meet, actually. We've still kind of got this space to hold the weight of our leg, even if we don't have our hands meeting in the middle. So it doesn't matter if you don't quite get there. Wherever we are, though, again, we're kind of moving through that rocking motion. Maybe you're leaning further forwards. Maybe you've got a little bit of a twist in there even. It's totally up to you. We're just wiggling around, kind of working our way into this right hip. and starting to learn a little bit more about our bodies. When you're ready, letting go of this little cradle. Right leg, right foot really, plants down outside left thigh. We're holding onto our knee and our shin with our left arm. Our right fingertips coming back behind us, so turning away from our knee, twisting across, gaze coming back over your right shoulder, and either your fingertips are on the ground or maybe it's your palm, but either way, we've got that lift. I know I talk about it all the time, like a broken record, but really trying to find this space through our backs, aiding our stretches. Finding just 2 more breaths in. Slowly turning back to the front, lifting your foot up. We're coming back to that forward fold. So right foot to the inside of your thigh, knee goes over to the side. Again, you can pop a cushion or a block underneath your knee if that's more comfortable. Fingertips lifting up, breathing in. As we breathe out, folding forwards, taking your hands towards your toes, your shin, your ankle. Again, you can use a block if needed. Guide your chest further forwards, further down. Give yourself that lift in front of your chest, the space to move into. Gently lowering or just softening really with every single breath out. So our breaths out even help us just kind of tap into that gentle side of our nervous system where we can get a bit more focused, a bit more calm. Just letting our bodies know that we are good. We might be able to move a little bit further into it. We have the space. We're in this safe, chilled place, just us. Into our twist, your right arm this time coming up. Fingertips reaching towards your ceiling as you lean your chest, your head still down towards your thigh, your ankle. If you did before, maybe start to just draw your fingers towards your toes, still opening up across our chest so we're not crunching down. Space down through the side of our waist. Leaning into it with every single breath out. Make your way a tiny bit further or just softening, starting to release that tension when it builds. Gently turning your chest back down to face your knee. Lift yourself up. Give your upper body a bit of a shake, just like we did before. We're making our way back to that half saddle. So bringing your right knee up and then taking your foot behind you, ankle close towards your hips, knee points forwards. Again, you can absolutely adjust. Please go to wherever works for you. We're leaning ourselves back, starting with our hands, moving onto our forearms, maybe going down onto your back. It is totally up to you. Go wherever works. Find your space, close your eyes, soften, release that tension that builds up. Just let your shoulders release. And don't feel like you have to stay perfectly still. Of course, we're not just fidgeting, but if you need to just roll your shoulders and move slightly, go for it. If you did last time, making your way with that slightly deeper stretch, we're bending through our left knee, holding on to our shin, drawing our thigh closer towards us. Taking 2 more breaths just as you are. Making our way back up, all the way back to seated. It's not very glamorous or very elegant to come back up from that posture, so just do it the way you wish. and into our 90-90 again. So our right knee goes out to the side, our left knee and shin comes in front of us. We're just folding over our left leg right now, gently making your way down, chest leaning over the top of your shin, your knee, fingertips reaching out forwards, settling down just for a couple deep breaths. Slowly lifting ourselves back up, ready for that kind of mobility motion. I'm going to spin slightly, but you guys are going to be fine. So again, we're using the space in our hips and working through that mobility here, lifting up onto your toes, your feet, and then shifting. I shifted a little bit more because of where I am, onto the other side. So just kind of lifting and rolling. If you have a wall, you might also need to do the same. But just going side to side. So each time we've got space in front of us, we're using this space in our hips. You might need to squeeze those glutes slightly, kind of roll your hips further forwards. See if you can come back there. Maybe you want to start lifting your legs off entirely and shifting straight over without that base of the floor. It's going to mean you stay a little bit more in one place. Have to admit, it's helpful for that, but it might be a little bit harsher on your hips. So see how you go. If it's not possible today, that is absolutely okay. Okay, when you are ready, we are just going to bring the soles of our feet closer together. Wherever you are on your mat, you can be facing one way or another. We're going to come back to facing together. That might mean at the side of your mat, it might mean at the front. Hands wrapping around the soles of your feet as your knees drop out to the sides. Now we might have our knees here, that's fine. We might have our knees about here. We might have our knees completely flat on the ground. Wherever you are today, deep breath in, lift, roll your shoulders back, and as you breathe out, we're folding forwards. Now, if you do want to bring your elbows to kind of press through the insides of your thighs, go for it. If you're more comfy today, just leaving them as they are and no extra pressure, you can either bring them in front of your shins or just keep them fairly lifted. So even though we've got that lean, we're not kind of using our elbows for extra space. You might find a little bit of pinging if you've got a bit of a tight lower back here, so please do ease off. It's not actually going to be any issue. It just might be a little bit too much at this point in time. This stretch can be intense if you're particularly tight there. So just go slow and controlled. We're not actually pressing and pushing anything. We're not trying to go past those limits. We're just noticing where our edges are, breathing there and staying with it. That's all we're doing. Gently lifting yourself back up. We're going to bring our hands outside our knees. Bring your knees closer together. And then finding your way to an all fours position. So bringing our hands, our wrists underneath our shoulders, our knees underneath our hips. And rather than move through some kind of full cat-cows today, we're going to kind of roll ourselves forwards and backwards and actually into a bit of an up dog or a cobra, really. It's a variation of an up dog. So just slightly walk your hands further away from where you'd normally have them in that all fours position. Bringing our hips back. Doesn't have to be all the way to our heels, just kind of holding and then curling and rounding up through your spine as you draw your hips forwards. Let them sink down towards your mat as you lift your chest and then uncurl at the front. So really going through that motion with our backs. Same thing on the way back. We're starting to round through our spines, hips going towards our heels, and then lifting and repeating a couple of times. Hips sink forward as we open up through our chest, head lifts. Same thing, going all the way back. You can tuck your toes if that is more comfy, feel free. One more time, rounding and opening up through your chest. And release, come back. This time toes do tuck as we press ourselves up into a downward facing dog. Pedaling out your feet from here. Go side to side, bend through one knee, draw down with the opposite heel. Have a little wiggle. When you're ready, coming to still and really sending your hips up and back, reaching them towards your ceiling, towards the sky.
Taking our right toes up behind us, reaching back, opening into a split dog. So we bend this right knee and then just start to roll your hips to the side. So almost like your hips are trying to face the side of your room or the opposite side of your mat. Slowly stepping your toes forwards. Our right foot is going to come outside our hands. You can shuffle this foot further forwards, have a little wiggle, lowering down left knee. Now here is where if you do have a block or a cushion, you may want to use it. Pop it down in front of you, rest your hands on it. We're going to have a deep breath in and lift our chests and then fold our way forward. So you may stay on your hands. You might come down to rest your arms on that cushion or your block. You might move onto your forearms. And again, we're staying here for a little bit. You may want to sway. You might feel like that helps you to ease into your legs. I know we've already done quite a lot of hip space. But it may just be nice to give yourself that little bit of a rock side to side, or it may feel really nice to stay static and hold and breathe to where you are at, sinking into this one with every breath. One more deep breath in and out. Lifting ourselves back up onto our hands if we're not there already. If you do have a cushion or a block, just wiggle it out of the way slightly so that we're moving our foot, our right foot, into the middle of our mats. And we're lifting ourselves up. So lifting into a bit of a low lunge, but our legs are almost at 90 degrees. Then I've got a wall next to me, and if you want to move to a place when you've got a wall, that may be helpful if you want a bit more support. We're going to see if we can bend through this left leg and take hold of our toes. Again, you may want to use your strap. Just loop it, oops, if I can, around your toes and bring your foot closer in towards you. That may be more helpful. It's going to be a big stretch through the front of this left thigh, again, through our hip flexors. And actually, if you're on a harder floor, you might want to get a cushion or double over your mat if it's a bit too much on your knee. See how you're going. Feel free to pause and come back or just rewind. Chest is lifted, gaze is forwards. Maybe just starting to lean into this one a little bit more. And this one I always find gets quite intense as we breathe into it. Taking two more. We have got this. We're in it together. Slowly letting go. Moving your strap out from behind you. Again, just pop it down somewhere close by so you can get back to it in a second. Leaning back into it. You might just want a bit of a shuffle. Shake your hips side to side. And we're actually going to see if we can kind of swivel a little bit more on our legs and our hips. So both hands are down inside our right foot. Starting to lean, so you're almost as if you're falling and sitting on top of this left hip. So we're going to kind of roll onto the outside of our left leg. And that in itself is probably going to mean, if I just change my angle slightly, it's probably going to mean that rather than your right foot at the front staying like this, it's going to start to kind of roll onto the side. That is fine. Stay with that. Leaning into it and kind of letting your hips sink down through this left side and bring your right arm out. So almost like swiveling, pivoting perhaps through our legs. And it's not only a big stretch through this outside of our left hip, but it also can be a bit sticky through this right side. You might just want to kind of ease your way there, maybe move into it, move out of it. Moving all the way back to the front. Tucking your left toes under now. Pressing to lift up through that left knee and then up. Straightening both legs. Hips go high. We're into our pyramids. We're leaning our chest forwards. Fingertips down. Deep breath in. Exhale out. Use this length that you have created. Gently bending into your right knee, hands onto the ground, stepping back, into your downward facing dog. Have a little shuffle with your legs. We'll go and do that on the other side. Left toes reaching up and back, opening into that split dog, your toes rolling over to the side as your knees bend, hips open. Gently stepping our left foot forwards, coming outside our hands, letting your right knee come down, toes untuck, moving your block or your cushion in front of you if you did last time, breathing in as we open up the space in front, breathing out, folding forwards, coming down onto your hands, your arms, that block, maybe some sways left and right. Closing your eyes, sinking into it as you breathe. Take your time. Chest sinking a little bit closer down towards your mat. One more deep breath. Making your way back up onto your hands, toes moving towards the middle of our mat as we lift through our chests up into this low lunge shape with our legs. Again, our knees are about 90 degrees and we're pressing a little bit into our hips to find this space through the right leg, taking hold either with your hands or again, you can use that strap if you wish around your toes, heel coming closer towards your bottoms. It does not need to come all the way here. It may be better if you're just kind of here and you're holding steady, using that strap particularly. Or it may be that you bring your foot closer in towards you. It really depends on how you're doing today and what training you've been doing, how much space we have in our hips, where the mobility is. There are so many factors. So go to wherever feels right for you. Listen to your body, go with it. Deep breath in. Slow exhale out. Finding one more gentle breath. Might again be getting a little bit tingly through this right thigh now. Softening. Release your foot behind you. Bring your hands back down inside your left leg. Same thing here, starting just to wiggle off. Give ourselves a bit of a shake out. And then we're going to go into that kind of swivelly motion with our hips again. So starting by leaning across onto the outside of your back foot, onto the outside of your right thigh. You might find that your left knee kind of swivels out to the side. You might feel a little bit like you need to kind of move into it and gently make your way there. That's fine. Sometimes I get a few little twinges on my left side particularly, and knowing that just means that I can kind of ease myself in a bit more. I know that I can't go straight into something. I need to kind of wiggle around, gently let myself get there, and then I can kind of just settle in for a couple deep breaths. It's not always the most comfy, but you know what? It's good. We'll get there in the end. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Making your way back to the front. Stepping back into your downward dog. Again, have a little wiggle with your legs. Shoulders roll, even circling through your wrists now if you wish. Bringing your knees down onto your mat and taking them out to about mat width apart or about kind of hip plus a little bit more. Lowering ourselves into a nice wide leg child's pose. Deep breath in. Exhale, walking your hands out in front, and we are going to stay here for these final few minutes. So let your head just rest down between your arms. Maybe it's on your mat. Again, if it is not comfy, if you need to shuffle out, move one side, feel free. If you need to bring your knees slightly closer, slightly further away, just let yourself settle into whatever is a comfy position and stay there. We're just absorbing everything we've just done. I know staying still is not always the easiest thing to do, but we're going to enjoy it. Give yourself this bit of time. There's nothing else you need to be doing right now. We've just got a few deep breaths to take. Gently in, even more gently out.
One more slow, steady breath, just as you are. Rolling ourselves back up to seated. Opening your eyes up slowly if they were closed. Bringing yourself to a comfy seated position. That might be kneeling, it might be cross-legged, it might be legs out in front, whatever you are doing. Come to sit nice and tall, shoulders roll back, crown of your head lifts. Take a deep breath in, slow exhale out. Thank you all so much. I hope you are feeling good. I hope your hips are kind of feeling like that stretch has given them a little bit more life. I know there's a lot of tension, a lot of emotion actually that can be held through our hips. So please do take your time to come out of this one. If you need to have a little bit of a wiggle, if you need to come back to anything, go for it. If you ever have any questions, you know where I am, just on the WhatsApp. And yeah, have a lovely rest of your day, whatever you're up to. I will see you very, very soon. Thank you. Bye.